Get free tech advice for your business from O2 Gurus. Search O2 Business for more.
Hey guys, welcome to BTech. It's Basil here. This is a speaker comparison between two stereo speakers, two mono speakers on smartphones. The HTC One M9 and Sony Xperia Z3 both pack front-facing stereo speakers. The Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge and the Apple iPhone 6 both have speakers on the bottom right-hand side. But how do they stack up against each other? We've got the Huawei Ascenmate 7 here with its stereo microphones to help us along in terms of measuring the volumes objectively. As the front-facing speakers on here, we are going to position these forward when we play the music from the HTC One M9 and the Sony Xperia Z3. As for the other two, we will position them exactly as they are. We have another microphone that will be equidistant from all of them, so hopefully it will give you as fair a reading as possible. Naturally, using our microphone, you won't be able to gauge the exact quality of all of them, so I will be able to feed back across the board as to what I think sounds the best as well. So hopefully between all of that, you'll have a fair idea as to how they perform. We're going to start off with some pop on the HTC One M9. That capped out at around 75, sounded quite crisp, doesn't have a lot of bass, but that's because it's a smartphone. Yeah, pleasurable audio experience. You could listen to a whole song on that and you wouldn't want to rip your ears off, which is always a good thing. How about the Sony Xperia Z3? Similar kind of volume levels. Interestingly, it hit the louder volumes in different parts of the song. It has maybe a little bit more bass, a bit more of a muffled sound, less clarity in there. But at the same time, that extra little bit of bass probably did help it along with a pop music type angle. How about the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge? Definitely the loudest, also the least pleasurable to listen to, just based on the fact that it really does kind of feel like, oh, that sounds forced out. It was really loud though, and I was massively impressed by just how loud it was, all that sound coming from that single speaker. Slightly shrill, but wow, volume-icious. Now check out the iPhone 6. Again, similar volume levels, very, very nice and loud. The iPhone 6 did manage to deliver just slightly shriller actually sounds than the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge, and slightly lower volumes maybe, but overall we'd say that those two performed very, very similarly, and of course the HTC One M9 produced the most clarity. Probably the Sony Xperia Z3 produced the most bass, slightly muffled sound, a tiny bit tinny from the HTC One M9, shrill from the mono speakers, but incredibly loud. Really impressed with that volume. So if you find your phone hard to hear when it rings, then you know which one to go for. How about hip hop? Never quite making it up to the 80 decibels. Good sound actually. Again, could comfortably listen to a whole song on that. Again, nice touch. Not quite as loud as the HTC One M9, not quite as good a sound to be honest, it just didn't have that kind of depth, a little bit more muffled. How about on the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge? Comfortably very loud, capped at around 82 dB. And on the iPhone? So it looks like we definitely have a champion in the volume department, and that is the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge. Interestingly, we really didn't expect that. The HTC One M9 wins on quality there. The Sony Xperia Z3 is good, slightly muffled. Waterproof phones tend to be a little bit muffled, and it did very well against the M8, but the M9 just edged ahead in terms of clarity and quality. And the iPhone 6 is probably the weakest just based on the fact that it isn't the loudest and it is a mono speaker. Very easy to cover up, as is the S6 Edge, which we'll come on to later. But before we do that, let's play a little bit of classical music. So this really isn't about crazy amounts of volume, but you could hear instruments individually, and that's always a nice touch. The HTC One M8 performed well in this department, and it's the individualization of the instruments, the clarity of the sound that really made it stand out. And indeed, the M9 is even cleaner. How about against the Sony Xperia Z3? Let's position that up. That may have even been a bit louder, it may have been a bit more volume heavy, but it was a deader sound, it wasn't quite as rounded, the instruments weren't as clearly defined individually, but again, still a very good sound from a smartphone. Could have listened to both relatively comfortably. Galaxy S6 Edge outperforming everything else in terms of volume. So that's the one you're going to want if you're in a pub, you have loads of mates around, you want to watch a YouTube clip and you want them all to hear it. Again, it might not be the best sound, but it is the loudest. Really does kind of sound like it's forced out of there. It's not comfortable to listen to. The string instruments got quite shrill, especially towards the end. How about on the iPhone? Because classical music doesn't need to be crazy loud, that was actually alright. It didn't sound too painful. Definitely preferable listening to that over the Samsung Galaxy S6 for a long time. But the S6 and the S6 Edge, presuming they sound the same, will be the loudest devices on the block, with the HTC One M9 having the best quality speakers, the Sony Xperia Z3 being the only waterproof device with front-facing stereo speakers other than the Z3 Compact, and it will be a much better performer than the Z3 Compact. And of course the iPhone, comfortable to listen to, relatively speaking, doesn't go crazy loud, but you'll see right now why you might want to opt for one of these if you have a propensity to cover up your speakers. And that's because if I was to play, let's play something different. Let's play some Julie London. So cover up the speaker, you can still hear it. Cover up the speaker, you can still hear it. Cover up both, you can still hear it. Let's try that on the Sony Xperia Z3. Cover up one speaker, can't hear it quite as loudly. Cover up two speakers, still hear it. And that's pretty muffled, but it's going to take a fair bit to cover up both speakers simultaneously. Interestingly, the bass seems to come from the bottom, the treble seems to come from the top more acutely on the Sony Xperia Z3. Now, how about the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge? And we think you know how this one's going to go. Loud, eh? Not so loud. Loud. Quiet. Finally, the iPhone 6. Dum, dum, dum. Ooh, that is probably the most affected by a cover-up. So what you end up with are 4 high quality devices that play back music. You have the winner in terms of clarity. If you want to listen to music without headphones plugged in, then it is the HTC One M9 all the way. Doesn't get quite as loud as the Galaxy S6 Edge though. If you want a waterproof phone, and if you want your music maybe with a little bit more bass perhaps, then the Sony Xperia Z3 will produce a very, very good sound considering everything you get on this. You get a shed load, you get a thinner device, you get waterproofing, you still get a metal frame, and ultimately this is a firm favorite for us and many of you guys. As for the Samsung Galaxy S6 Edge, it is loud and proud with it. Quality isn't the best, but perfectly good to listen to for like a YouTube clip or something like that. Finally, the Apple iPhone 6. Obviously not the loudest out there, not the best quality, but a solid performer nonetheless, especially if you're going to plug in headphones. So hopefully you enjoyed our speaker roundup. If you have, make sure you click that like button and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions about any of these, fire them in the comments section below. And if you like BTech, then just subscribe. That's how you're going to stay on top of everything that we do. Thanks for watching.